Hello guys, my name is Amit Sani and I welcome you in this daily Hindu analysis video. In the morning these videos come, in the evening PIB videos they come. And 1st of April it is, and happy April Fool's Day. I wish that all your problems turn out to be that somebody has made you April's Fool and no real problems for you. So let's start the lesson. Oscar Wilde said a very important thing. We all are in gutter, but some of us are looking at the stars. You see, when great personalities are in making, they find many problems in their lives in this world. You see, all are created alike, but God gives some troubles to those people who can excel in their lives, who can cross that threshold, and after crossing that threshold you become a great person. So at first you remain a normal person, but if you not find any kind of problem with you, any kind of specific lack inside you, then you go on the normal path and you do not cross that threshold. But if you find the lacks inside you, if you find the problems with you which are making you incapable in a way, and which are in a way biased against you, and at that time, this is the point when you decide, and this is the time of testing. If you decide to overcome your lacks, if you decide to cross that threshold, even if these troubles are there, and if you find the solutions for your troubles, you become the greatest one. And this is the thing that starts with the positivity, and this is all about positivity. You remain mired in troubles, but still you see positivity, you see that some hope can be there, and you look at your goal. So your goal that makes you surviving in those negative conditions. Okay, so that is the thing. So nothing can be more important than that in these troubled phases of your life. These are the words that I found, and you can you use them into sentences. Daily I'm giving you many words, and maybe it's a great compilation till now. Next, if we talk about the articles today, we are going to discuss this article important for GS paper 2 and 3 both, regarding the ASET and what are the consequences and what this word is up to, and what can be new additions, what can be new aspirations and steps we need to take, and as whole this world should look at this particular problem with a different perspective. So that we are going to discuss here. In the next article, the arrogance of the ignorant, it is pointing out towards a very important problem with the existing society, with the existing development model, and about the decision makers and their apathy towards one of the most important people on earth, and how we are strangulating them and thinking that we are going on a right path and these people are criminals. So this is really a dangerous thing. It's totally an inhumane thing to do. So we are going to discuss this particular article regarding the forest dwellers and their eviction. GS paper 2 would be important here, and GS paper 3 would be, because it is about the forests and the ecosystem. This article is not important for us, it's a political one. This is also a political one, not important for us. This is talking about the election commission's image. It says that when previous election commissioners were there, CECs were there, TN Session, he is citing the example here. At that time, the working of the election commission, that used to look very robust and fearless. But this issue of fearlessness is gone today, and we cannot accept this kind of image of election commission where it is not able to do anything. Mere advisories it is releasing, and some kind of caution it is talking about, and it is advising these parties that they should refrain from these kind of things, but no solid steps we see from the election commission, and no solid mentions are there by election commission, although it's a constitutional status having body. Article 24 is regarding elections in India, Election Commission of India, and here this body, it is not able to do anything in any matter. In the present time, we are looking at many examples where uses of loopholes in these laws. Model code of conduct is being flouted many times, and these parties, they are putting the pictures of these soldiers and openly for votes, these are counting on votes. So these things are really problematic. And now see, some specific ways they have also appeared, like social media, movies, and some other platform, where openly a biased system is going on, and a kind of a different kind of a campaign we see today. But the intention of all these things, that should be seen by Election Commission of India, and that evaluation is totally missing today. So this frail Election Commission of India is not acceptable. And the writer Panir Selvan is a very important senior writer. He always compares all these situations in the world media, and he follows great journalists and all. So he can compare these things internationally, and he says that this is really problematic for the country like India, which is so diverse, and the responsibility is so huge with Election Commission of India. This is a diverse country, the country with the maximum number of poor, so the responsibility of these poor people or the population is with the establishment. And how this establishment is working, it is based on the elected representatives, how these elected representatives are coming after the elections. So election is the core process of our democracy, and if in this particular core process there are norms which are being flouted, then nothing can be worse than that. So that is why this is the most important institution today, and it is not working in a fearless manner. That is apparently correct. So that is about that. Next, Kartarpur focus, we will discuss this particular issue. It's a brief one, and it is talking about the security issues related with the Kartarpur corridor. Next, we start with the article Seeking the Next Frontier. When we carried out an anti-satellite test on March 27 using an interceptor missile. Interceptor means when you suppose a missile is coming towards your country and you are trying to destroy that country by a different missile, and it is hitting that in air and it is not reaching up to the ground. So this is intercepting, and they are intercepting now as a particular satellite, and that was a working satellite. Target satellite was working. Possibly it was the Microsat R, which was launched in January this year. Now about this capability, we talk about the ethical issue. An ethical issue by whole world, if we talk about, you see, it was necessary because other countries, they had developed this particular capacity, and in the future this space arms race is going on. Weapons of mass destructions, they are being implanted on these satellites now. So it's no need that you launch a missile from the ground. You may launch these missiles from the satellites also. So these kind of technologies, they are going on as a race, so we cannot remain behind. But otherwise, if we talk about the ethical scale, this thing is wrong, because what kind of model we are following, what kind of model this whole world is following. I'm talking about all the countries, America, India, China, what they are trying to do here. If they are deploying these weapons of mass destruction, and if they are thinking that any day they may have to use it, but what about that day? That day it would be a total destruction. Nobody would survive. So why this particular race? Why we are not thinking in a logical manner, where our decision making is lacking? And here you see the issue of space debris that the writer is raising here. It's a very crucial issue. When this blasting happened, then around 250 to 270 pieces of this debris, they are now suspended there in the space, and they are moving there. So US as a country, because it is the leading country in the space sector, and they check that if any kind of a particular part of these satellites or any kind of debris that is harmful or may be harmful in the future for International Space Station and other satellites, then they confirm this thing. But you see, in 1957, Sputnik from USSR, that was launched, and after that this became as a race, and till now more than 8,000 satellites are there in the space. And you see, there is no recycling process, there is no weathering, there is no disposal of these non-working satellites. They all are moving in the surrounding space. So you see the number is consistently rising, and the space debris issue is really a cause of concern. In the movie Gravity in 2014, I think they showed this reality very well, and that was an Oscar winning movie. You should watch that, and how this space debris becomes devastating, and it can take lives there in the space, and maybe on Earth also. If they fall on the Earth, then this thing is really dangerous, and no country is thinking about that. When China did this particular testing in January 2007, then they brought new 3000 pieces in the space, and those may have been dangerous for other satellites. You see, the positive use is always demanded. It is expected, according to the 1967 Outer Space Treaty also, the positive and the particular human development based use. So that use is allowed and it is expected. So it is not about allowing because it is not enforceable and it's a friendly treaty. And after that, in 1979, the Moon Treaty came. And in both these instances, it was said that there should be no negative use, and these moon surface or the outer space, they should not be used for any kind of nuclear testing or something like that, because those are devastating things. And how can we say that our development model and the way we are moving, that is perfectly correct? We cannot say that. Maybe we are being very foolish, and already many examples are there. We have destroyed much part of the earth, and consistently we are polluting our oceans and the place where we live, and where the condition is like that nowhere the life is possible apart from earth, and we are destroying that earth and that ecosystem balance. So how can we say that we are going right in this direction? So only friendly use should be there and only positive use should be allowed, but these things are not enforceable. These are not legally binding treaties, so that's a problem. And you see, without any kind of a political will, and this will should come from all the countries, because it would not work if any one country understands this problem and that stops developing these capabilities. That would not work. All these countries, they should come together and simultaneously, in a synchronized manner, they should end all these nukes and all these deployment of weapons of mass destruction on these satellites and all, and these kind of steps, they should be abolished with no time. But you see, the issue is there that less countries are there which are having these capabilities, but now maybe it's a kind of a race that is going to start. Only 4 countries are having this capability now, but it is said that France and Israel, they both are having this capability, but they have not done any kind of testing and all. But now this thing is open, and America knew that India is gonna do that, but they could not stop us, because there is no international treaty prohibiting the testing or the development of ASATs. That is the issue. And as I told you, this thing was a part of ballistic missile defense program. In 1980s we started that, and around 15 years back we followed this particular path in a sincere manner, and since 2011 we have become very aggressive in these testings and in developing these technologies. So it is all a result of that. And if you talk about US and USSR, the staunch rivals, and it was the Cold War phase. In 1980s they started testing these kind of technologies. But you see, one positive thing is there with the technology. As we all say that technology should be used positively. You see the example here, when America did this testing for this anti-satellite systems, so they used laser energy systems and they directed it towards the target, and it did not create any kind of space debris, and it was neutralized. So in the same manner, these kind of testings should be done if these are necessary. The space debris, that should not be there, because that is devastating. And in this way we should develop technologies so that if some things are necessary, then we can manage the situation. And you see, if this race goes on and if we do not understand this, then it would not be a manageable world, because all countries, they would want to maintain their ego, their own international image, and how can they remain behind? If they can, then they would certainly do. So nobody is gonna stop. And who is going to stop if the most capable countries are doing this thing in a bold manner, and they are not hesitating in doing or taking any kind of step. So you see, the issue of space debris is being discussed here, and one more important thing, the militarization of the space. As I told you, there are around 2000 military satellites in this world. Sorry, 300 are dedicated military satellites, and out of 300, 140 are there with USA, and around 90 is there with Russia, and 40 by China, and only 2 dedicated satellites are by India. So here we are lacking in a sense. If we keep this particular debate of ethics aside, then we need to develop the capabilities here. That is a different thing, that moral stand we all should take. But how can we remain behind here? We should develop more technology and more capability here. And in the future, if we would have technology, then maybe we would be able to manage these things in a positive manner. Now, if we talk about the responsible steps, then Russia and China, these two countries, they had proposed a draft, and it was to kick off the negotiations on a treaty on the prevention of the placement of weapons in outer space. And that was really needed, and that is the need of the hour, and certainly world should move in this direction. But you see, it was blocked by USA first. USA is a very smart country. It never cares about the world or ecosystem or the climate change or any other country. It only thinks about its own capabilities and its own dominance. So we may say that this has been very, very foolish and very much wicked by USA. All the time it has blocked these kind of moves, but it should change its stand here. And obviously at that time also it was rejected by West, and European Union, mindful of US allergy to any negotiations on this issue, began to develop an international code of conduct based on transparency and confidence building measures. But you see, without any political will and without this consensus, these kind of moves are not possible. And as I told you, if we want to curb these negative moves, then legally binding provisions that should be brought under United Nations. Otherwise it would not be possible. So this is all about that, and we are at a phase where we should develop more technological help here, and the moral debate that would go on, the ethical responsible debate that would go on, and we should take part in that. If all countries are coming together, then there is no problem, and we don't need to develop these kind of destructive technologies. So that is for all. Next, the arrogance of the ignorant. Next article, it is regarding the tragedy. What is this? New India chooses to attack Adivasis and forest dwellers instead of those destroying its ecology. You see, we have become so smart, and when our capabilities are rising and we are putting everything, every support or every move in a very bold manner, and we are not hesitating anywhere, maybe on social media, maybe on news debates and all, and we are justifying every move of ours, where maybe we are going on a very, very wrong path. As I told you earlier, that we cannot give this certificate to our development paths, that our development model is okay, and the model which is there based on nature for these Adivasis and forest dwellers, that is wrong. We have in a way declared many of them as half-hearted criminals, and the Naxalism is the case that is there in the same area where pristine forests are there, and these clearances are given for mining and all, and sometimes these forest dwellers, they are a difficulty in these clearances. So you see, this kind of debate should be open, that transparency should be there, that whom you are declaring Naxalites and all, and what is this problem, how you are going to manage that, and why there is no solution of this problem. So when after independence it was decided that these people should not be disturbed because they are very unique, and maybe they are right and we are wrong, our development model is wrong, we are polluting everything, and our model is destroying this earth, and they are friendly to this nature, and they have been there for thousands of years. So when we decided in a very responsible manner after independence, why we are lacking in all these decision making today. Today we see these people as a threat to the biodiversity, to the forest, and we see our development model where mining is done and all these trees and all, they are cut down, and they are destroying the nature in all ways, and we are justifying that we are progressing here. So what kind of progress is there? And you see, technology is the biggest help. We may develop many other alternative methods where we can manage all these things with the help of technology, but with the conventional ways we are consistently destroying the earth, and that is happening. And here the problem is that all the stakeholders, whether these are citizens, whether these are political establishment, these are obvious. These people only talk about votes and all, and these people who are miners, builders, and these corporate houses who are indulged in these kind of businesses and all, where they are exploiting the nature. So these people who earn thousands of crores of rupees, these are also the stakeholders. Courts, even courts, these all stakeholders, they have turned against these poor people, and collectively on February 12th, Supreme Court said in harsh words, it directed all these states that anyhow with a full pace you evict these people because they are not allowed, their claims are rejected. So harsh, so irresponsible, and so big apathy was there against these poor people, and that was never expected by Supreme Court, but it passed that order. And that is why many times the Supreme Court's decision making is questionable nowadays, because it never used to be like that, but now it is happening. So it's a problematic thing. And you see, these people are earning thousands of crores of rupees, and they are paying this amount as a bribe to this political establishment. So this is how they are making their important party offices of crores of rupees worth in every district. So this is it is happening. So this is political funding. So it's a nexus between the political parties and these commercial giants. So if these people are not allowed, as we saw in the case of Vedanta bauxite mining, where because of the Gram Sabha, they had these rights according to the Forest Rights Act of 2006, and these people were not allowed to mine there. So that total profit was gone. So these people are actually a problem for these wicked people who are exploiting the nature and earning fortunes out of that. So these poor people are problem for these people. So that is why it's a kind of allegation that all these moves against these Adivasis, they are coming because of these motives. And that is why political establishment and these people, and through the media, people are also boosted like that. So all have turned against these poor people, and the label of Naxalism is already there. And some people who are running NGOs, or maybe who are raising the issues of these poor people, the wrath is also there on them. Last year they arrested many people by applying UAPA Act on them because they were talking about their issues. So these things are really problematic. We are destroying indigenous knowledge, and the fact is that, irony is that, we only appreciate natural products. We only appreciate the greenery and whatever ad they would show on the television channels. Then they all are talking about Ayurveda, nature, and ecosystem and all. And we only want those kind of things. But in reality, we are totally against the ecosystem balance, because the balance lies with these Adivasis, and they have been there for thousands of years. We saw the case of tsunami in 2004, where in North Sentinelese Islands and in some other Nicobar and Andaman Islands, where these populations, which are very scanty these days, everyone thought that these people would die because the force of tsunami was so dangerous, but that no condition was there that they would survive, because they did not have any kind of alarming systems and all, and no great help was available to them. No disaster relief and all those things were not available for these people. They were living in the dense forests. But you see, so efficient these people are, and their connection with the nature is so deep that they knew about it earlier, and they saved all of these people, and they saved animals also from these disasters. So this is a burning example that these people are so efficient, and these are real nature caring people, and we are turning against these people, and we are bringing these kind of laws, and apparently we are thumping our chest that we have a great development model here. So we need to think here very deeply, and that is why the writer says that articulate arrogance of New India is such that it is unable to see any virtue in the lives of Adivasis. So this is all that I discussed here. The text is given here, you can understand everything here. And one more important thing, that they brought out this particular decision that they had to change. They did not actually change that, they actually postponed it for July. So the next hearing is for July. But in February, when they gave this decision, then FRA did not contain any kind of legal provision for the eviction of rejected claimants. There was no discussion on that. But instead of that, without any backing of the law, they rejected their claims, and they decided that these people should be evicted as early as possible. They added the as early as possible phrase. So this is problematic. Okay, many examples are there out of Saudi Arabia's investment, the biggest refinery of this world that is coming up near the Ratnagiri on the Konkan coast, and uprooting 17 villages, 500,000 cashew trees and over 1 million mango trees, they would be gone, and thousands of acres of Himalayan forests, then over 100 villages will be submerged by one of the world's tallest dams, which are coming up in Pancheshwar in Uttarakhand. So these examples are showing us that the kind of development model we are expecting here, what it is going to give to us, it is destroying the nature, and nature is so fierce when it comes to its own. When it will show its power, then lakhs or crores of people, they would go within a minute. As I have given you the example of earthquake in Delhi. 3 crore people are living in Delhi, and so dense these areas are. If zone, as we know that zone 4 is the category that Delhi comes under it, and 8 to 9 Richter scale earthquake is possible in Delhi. Suppose an earthquake comes, more than 1 crore people, they would die instantly, and this is a guarantee. Many scholars, many experts, they have told about this particular thing, that this city should be managed, and many buildings are old, and in these old buildings maximum number of people are living. So what is going to happen? So we are defying the nature here, and we are defying these people who are protectors of the nature, who are living in a collaboration with the nature, and the connection is so deep. As we saw in the movie Avatar, the same connection is there with the nature for these people. So why we being so foolish here? Although we have commercial needs, but you see, technology is the thing that can help here. We can find alternative methods, we can find many more alternative things, and we can do many researches to attain that goal with the help of technology. But with the conventional ways, we are consistently destroying everything. And to make matter worse, worrying amendments that have been proposed to the Forest Act 1927, which further strengthen the stranglehold of the forest officials over India's jungles and its inhabitants, have now been made public. Coastal Regulation Zone came, which actually allowed everything in the name of construction, in the name of hotel business and everything, in all the most sensitive areas where we needed utmost level of protection, but we have allowed everything there. So this kind of decision making is by the political class. So this political class should also be evaluated, and that is why I told you the biggest responsibility lies with the Election Commission of India, that every intention should be evaluated here of every political party, what they are doing, what kind of decisions they are taking, and how they are campaigning, and what are their goals. If they are bringing these kind of norms like new coastal regulation zones guidelines, which have flouted all the norms and all the protection given to the most sensitive parts of biodiversity and the indigenous communities. They are not caring about the poor, they are not caring about the nature. So that means it's open that what they want, what their model is. They are only supporting these rich class people, and they do not care about the poor ones, or they do not care about the ecosystem balance, because they would not be affected. Next generations would take care of these things, and even they won't be able to take care of them because it would be too late until then. So we need to raise these issues, and the people who are having this authority, who are deciding about these, they should be accountable for these kind of moves, and the big debate should be there. And you see, in the mains examination or in the essay, we may write all these things, that election is the most important time, and for a robust and vibrant democracy we should raise these kind of most important topics before election. But what we are seeing today, what that minister said, where he put the G after somebody's name and all, so these kind of discussions are there. All the discussions on religion, all the discussion on the caste, and all nonsense things are being discussed, and these vital things where our future is at stake, nobody is talking about those crucial issues. So this is the development model, and where we are lacking, and we should change these paths, otherwise the future is really bleak for us. Next, Kartarpur focus. In this issue, you see, the spirituality aspect is very important, and the deep connection with the Pakistan's land for the people who were displaced after independence, and the spirituality aspect which is there with the Kartarpur. So we cannot ignore that, and we should not ignore that, because this is one of the rarest positive points between both the nations. So blocking work on the corridor is not right. Right now the scheduled meet was on April 2, but that is postponed because of the security reasons, because national security is the bigger priority here. The Khalistan, pro-Khalistan people who are there on the decision making list in Pakistan, and because of that, we have postponed our meet here. So Khalistan group, it wants its own territory, and it's a secessionist group, so we cannot allow that, and that is why national security is a bigger issue there. We cannot afford to be next Pulwama like attacks, when people are going there for their important religious reason, and they are meeting with a very dangerous fate. We cannot allow that. That is why the security thing is the bigger priority here. Pakistan's support to separatist Sikh groups goes back several decades, that we all know, and India must work to secure its border from the threat, even as it opens the gates for the thousands of pilgrims to travel to Pakistan. National security must get a priority. That is the crux of this particular editorial. And you see, it's an obvious thing that if people are against Indian establishment, and they do not support the integration of this particular area, then certainly they should be curtailed, and their power should be curtailed. And if this movement is supported by maybe some people, they are supporting this particular move, but as the issue of national security, and many people who are Indians for their security, because the place is there in Pakistan, and the bigger problem is that we cannot trust Pakistan in any way. All the terrorist activities are financed, supported by Pakistan, and maybe this would again a particular risky thing to allow without any kind of security checks. So without this affirmation, we cannot allow this particular move, although it's a very positive one. And we are comparing this move with the fall of Germany wall, which was there in 1980s, where East and West Germany, they destroyed the wall which was erected between both of them. And this is how the leaders are looking at it. Pakistan is also expecting this kind of thing, but how much sincere Pakistan is, we need to see here. These are the MCQs. Try their answers. Extremely important. These things are going to be for the prelims examination this year, and additional data is going to be much more important. The PDF you will get on the Telegram channel. The link is given on the Facebook group of mine. So you can send me a request and I would approve, and we would discuss these MCQs tomorrow. Thanks a lot. Keep watching, and it was Amit Sani.